you write in the latest Mother Jones, you quote Anna Dennis, executive director of Common Cause Georgia, and this is a great quote. This bill is Jim Crow with a suit and tie.
That's absolutely right, Jonathan, because you look at just the provision eliminating Sunday voting. That, as you mentioned, is when Black churches do souls to the polls voter mobilization drives. Black voters in Georgia are about 30% of the electorate, but they were 37% of those people that voted on Sunday. And this is a real tell here because this has nothing to do with election integrity. Giving people more time to vote on the weekends simply makes it more convenient. And the fact that Georgia Republicans are trying to get rid of a method of voting that's extremely convenient for all voters, but particularly used by Black voters, shows that this has nothing to do with election integrity. It has everything to do with voter suppression. And Georgia Republicans and Republicans elsewhere are weaponizing Trump's big lie now, try to make it harder for Democratic constituencies to vote.
So, Ari, I mean, you're right. Georgia has become ground zero for GOP voter suppression efforts following the 2020 election. So the line is clear. Not only did Joe Biden flip Georgia from red to blue, but both of those Senate seats flipped from red to blue. And so Republicans in Georgia want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. That's why this is happening.
That's absolutely right. Last year, the Republican Secretary of State bragged that Georgia had the gold standard of voting laws. They had automatic voter registration. They had early voting. They had no excuse absentee voting. But what did they do after the 2020 election? Georgia Republicans have introduced bills to get rid of all of those things, all of the voting methods that worked so well and that Black voters in particular took advantage of. Georgia Republicans are now trying to get rid of it. And Georgia's a fascinating test case. The Republican Secretary of State said over and over, there was no fraud. The system worked. And instead of applauding that system and trying to make it easier to vote and expand voting access, they're trying to get rid of all the things that made the system work so well, simply because in this one election, it worked better for the other party than their party, even though Georgia Republicans wrote every aspect of the state's voting laws.
And, you know, Ari, then what are the prospects of this bill? Is it going to pass?
Well, there's divides within the Republican Party in Georgia. Obviously, these provisions are getting a lot of scrutiny. People are wondering, where did the elimination of Sunday voting come from? Nobody was talking about that as a problem in the last election. And so I think the Republican Party is divided, but I think this puts additional pressure on Democrats in Congress to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and to pass the For the People Act so that Democrats can use the power they have in Washington to make sure that Republicans aren't able to undermine democracy for the next decade in states like Georgia and other states around the country where they're introducing so many new restrictions on voting.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.